Rebuilding an engine is a big job, but planning smartly for a successful rebuild project can help eliminate the possibility of costly mistakes, saving you time, energy, and frustration. Learn to remove and reinstall your engine block, as well as how to disassemble and inspect the components to restore your engine to like new condition, or to customize it for maximum performance. See Step 1 for more information. Thoroughly clean the engine before beginning if possible. Accumulated dirt, grime, and grease will make removing bolts and disconnecting components a messy. Position the vehicle near your hoist. You'll need to be able to work on an even and well-lit surface, with enough room to position your hoist and maneuver around. If you've got a big enough garage, all the better. It's a good idea to take close-up pictures of as many components in the engine as possible, from different angles. As you get to working, these can be invaluable. You might even print them out and label them for reference. Organize your work area before you begin. Having tubs to hold bolts, clamps, and fasteners to sort these, a workbench or table to lay out tools on, and a parts soaking and cleaning bucket will make handling these items easier. Remove the hood. Mark the hinge bolts so you'll be able to find them later. Loosening them carefully, have a helper assist as you slide it off and store it while you complete the job. Note that some hoods have electrical connections for an underhood courtesy light or for headlamps, signal lights, and fog lights that are mounted on it. These should also be disconnected. Start disconnecting the external engine components. It's important to disconnect the ground cable on the battery before you do anything else, then start draining the coolant and radiator hoses to do the job safely. Be very careful not to damage the metal clamps, which are more difficult to replace than the rubber hoses, which you might have to cut or break. 1. Remove the radiator and fan shroud, if applicable. Be gentle with it, the aluminum cells are delicate, and can easily be damaged. Next, loosen the alternator, the tension assembly, cooling fans, and belts. Disconnect the intake air supply and the fuel lines. Some vehicles have a fuel system which is pressurized even when the engine is not running, so be prepared to drain the fuel and relieve the pressure before disconnecting them. When you unbolt the power steering pump and air conditioning compressor, do it without disconnecting the hoses to save yourself some time in reassembly. It's a good idea to make drawings and take close photos, as well as labeling the hoses and wires with tape and marker. Do not depend on memory. Some wires and hoses will only plug into place in one way, but some are not obvious. You'll likely still need a chart, diagram, drawing, and pictures to ease the reassembly process. Remove all electric connections to the motor. You can leave the spark plug wires for later, but start disconnecting the exhaust manifold and unbolt all visible electric connections to the transmission in preparation of disconnecting the transmission. Remove the bolts that attach the transmission's bell housing to the engine. Jack up the car and put it on jack stands, then support the transmission from underneath with other jack stands. It's very important to use jack stands, or some other support under the transmission before you disconnect the bolts. Once you loosen them, there won't be anything supporting the transmission and it will fall unless it's being held up by something. For vehicles with an intermediate crossmember, this won't be an issue. In the most cases, the transmission itself doesn't need to be removed from the vehicle, as long as it can be safely supported when the engine is removed. Use the hoist to remove the engine. Connect the hoist to the lifting points on the cylinder heads, or the biggest bolts near the top of the engine, and adjust the leveler slowly to start lifting the front. Be extremely careful. Swing motor free of car to avoid hitting the car and lower the engine onto your work surface, or the ground to start disassembly and inspection.